Lads, welcome back to Fusion YGO. I am Christian, the Hever Card Man, and if you couldn't figure out by the title today, we are going to be doing a PrankKids deck profile. This is my 60 card pile version with all the versions of this running around in the format right now, and PrankKids being one of the top defining decks of the meta. I thought it was about time I throw my hands back into the ring again and give you guys an updated list of this deck. I am still waiting on a few cards. I'll point those out to you as we go through the profile. I have fillers for it right now while I'm waiting for them. So it's not too big of a deal, but if you guys like this video and you enjoy the content in general, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below so you guys can stay updated on our content. And if you want to see the combo tutorial, I will post that up in the card right up here for you guys when that goes live. It'll probably be like a couple days after this video goes out. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump straight into the profile today. Alright, so here we are with the decks. I've been playing this deck since I came back to the game at the end of 2019. And it just does some insanely awesome things. I played this deck well before Meow Meow came into the format, and to see it now being like a tier 1 deck is just absolutely insane to me. So let's go ahead and go into the card by card, and I'll give you guys some of my thoughts with the deck as I go, or maybe some changes you guys can make if you're on more of a budget. Alright, so starting off with the PrankKids engine here, I'm going to break these down into engines just to make things easy. So we're going to be running triple Fansies here, triple of all the main deck monsters actually. This is a 60 card list. So we want to max out on names as much as possible, and honestly, Roxy's is a very underrated card, especially in this version of the deck, given that he just allows you to like fix up your hand, get into potentially better cards, and he's just, I mean, it's a PrankKids name. It gets you into full combo. You might have to work around things a little bit differently to get to your Battle Butler setup, but it's really not that big of a deal. To pair with these guys, also playing the triple place for searching, just trying to get maximum consistency here with one terraforming as well. So right off the bat there, that's already 16 copies to get into your PrankKids. Then we're running 2 PrankKids Pandemonium. A lot of people opt to play this at 1. I just think it's too risky to play it at 1 because if anyone hits it, you know, so many lists are on just 1 copy that if players smart enough to go after it and hit one of them, you're going to be kind of screwed a little bit. You want a backup plan, you know, so just in case, especially if your opponent like Cosmic Cyclones you in the standby phase and they hit it, you don't want to be out of it for the entire game. You want to be able to bounce back. 1 Thunder Dragon Fusion, another underrated card, really good at recycling resources, allows you to search your Fansies on the follow-up. We're also running 1 copy of Pranks. I think I've seen a couple of lists try to bump it to 2. It's just like an okay card. There's other options I'd much rather search first, but in the grind game, it does come up and is relevant. My other surprise kind of pick, just once again for consistency's sake, since this is a 60 card list, is 3 copies of Puri Rise Map, and this is purely because it can just search you Fansies, like right off the bat. You do have to activate at the start of your main phase 1 and pay half your life points, but paying half your life points you don't really care so much about, and you draw enough cards consistently that, you know, this is just good Ash bait, if nothing else, and it's just 3 more ways to get into your full PrankKids combo. Last card for the PrankKids engine here is 1 PrankKids Plan. So many people sleep on this trap card. It's so good at 1. Because once again, if you end up in that grind matchup, this can reset your entire graveyard of PrankKids cards, and it actually can come up a lot in battle phase situations. I've had this card save me a ton of times. So like 1 is really, really good in the deck, and people sleep on it way too much. Alright, so next up here, of course, we are playing the Adventure Package. If you guys don't want to play this, you could honestly just cut this down to like a 50 card list and be just fine. But if you want the extra consistency and extra way to play through things, it's like just kind of optimal. This is a more competitive list. It's not at all budget, so playing triple Water Enchantress as is pretty standard, paired with 3 Rite of Arameseer as well for maximum consistency for the engine, and then of course the 1 Griffin Rider, 1 Fateful Adventurer, 1 Dracoback. Just the standard package of 8 cards. I mean, once again, you cut this and 2 other cards, you have a 50 card deck that's really, really consistent. You don't have as many options for playing through hand traps is the only sucky part. I think it's overall a really good package. It helps to get those extra effect bodies on field to get into your Verte and stuff if you don't lock into your PrankKids, and overall it's just really good. Next up here, I am waiting on 1 more of these, but I'm playing 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and this is for in cases in which I don't want my opponent playing back row hit against me. And of course, if I can get its effect off to be able to search a spell or trap from my deck to my field, it's just really good. It can help out with a lot of things. It can search a lot of really important cards. Like, say, for example, if I used Verte for the next card that we're going to talk about here in a minute, then I could use this guy for during my opponent's turn to be able to get Thunder Dragon Fusion set to my field to have the follow-up to get another Battle Butler. So Lord of the Heavenly Prison, absolutely insane. Like I said, 3rd copy of him is still on the way, so I do have a replacement for him right now. Next up, we're running 2 Fusion Destiny. This is all I have of the DPE package so far, except for DPE himself. Once again, I'm waiting on my Dasher Celestial. I've been playtesting this deck online, But once I get those two in here, they'll go right into this deck. And those are like really the only two bricks that we're playing in this deck is the Dasher Celestial, which feels just nice. Now into the hand traps here. We don't play as many as like a lot of standard lists because that's not really what this deck aims to do. You know, there's so many decks that are just running so many hand traps to try to stop the opponent. So I figured with my goal with this deck was to make it to where I could play through my opponent's hand traps and be able to establish my own stuff, get my own plays online. And if I have hand traps, they're just bonuses. But in the end, it's not like the mainstay of this deck. It's not the main thing you're trying to do. So that being said, playing triple Effect Veiler, double Ghost Ogre, double Droll, one Ash, just because I only have one Ash right now. If I had more, I'd probably like swap stuff out for it. And then double Ghost Bell right now for our hand trap lineup. That is only a total of 10 hand traps in a 60 card list. So like you wouldn't think it's team super consistent. With all the testing I've done though, I have somehow consistently drawn 1 to 2 of these like every hand, which is just absolutely insane given that I only have 10. Technically I have 13 because right now my replacements are triple Starlight, Heavenly Zephyr, Miradoras. Once again, the Dasher Celestial and the third Heavenly Sky will replace these. These are just what I threw in for right now while testing. So I just kind of knew that if I drew one of them, it was, you know, one of those guys. So that is literally it for the hand trap lineup. The biggest reason we play the one Ash in here is what we'll get into here in just a second. Because we are playing triple Crossout Designator, and of course Ash is like the biggest hand trap against this deck. I don't have any Nibiru's in the main. I actually need to get them in here. Most likely I'd probably swap out the Drolls for those, honestly, because Droll is just not that effective against this deck, but Nibiru is definitely a killer. That's kind of where the Adventure Engine comes in though, because if you can cross out the Ash and then Adventure on the Nibiru, like you're good to go. We have triple Tactics Talents, one Called by the Grave. Anyone who asks for Called by the Grave to come back to more than one is just nuts. I love the card to death, but there's no way. And then also to help us play through hand traps is one Foolish Burial because it gets us the adventure package. And then last year, double Twin Twister just for back row. It hasn't like really been too much of an issue given there's so many base decks in the format and so many just pile decks that back row isn't as much of a problem. So we do have ways to address that in the side. Alright, so on to the extra deck. There's not like a whole lot of flexibility in here. It's a mostly solved extra deck, and you know, there's like a few flex spots that you can have, but for the most part, it's all pretty standard. So running the one Meow Meow, since that's what we can play. The double Dodo. I've kind of been debating on putting him up to 3, but not too sure yet. One Bow Wow and one Ripper and Roaster for our PrankKids links. Once again, just pretty standard. Like, these ratios are normal. One Verte, one Unicorn, one Axis Code. Probably don't need to really explain these too much. Like, Unicorn's good to help break boards. Axis Code, same thing. You can use Unicorn to climb up into Axis Code. Help you push for game, like turn 3 or something like that. And then one Underworld Goddess as just kind of like a spice pack. I really love this card. I've loved it since day one. Being an extra deck Kaiju that can Dark Rule into more of the field and be Graveyard Summon Negate. Just a really good card. For the fusions, got double Rocket Ride, one Weather Washer, and double Battle Butler. All pretty standard here. Honestly, I think if PrankKids is going to get hit anymore, it's probably going to be like Battle Butler to 1, which I don't know if that's going to do much. Like, they could ban Meow Meow, but then the deck just dies. So I think like Battle Butler to 1 is probably the way, in all honesty. And then one DPE, of course, to round off the extra. Even 15 cards. Once again, nothing like too crazy here. Been having a really good time with this deck. It's a totally fun list. So let's go ahead and move on to the side deck here, and then I'll send you all on your way. Alright, so most of this side deck here, admittedly, is just filling out hand traps. If we end up coming against the super heavy combo deck, we know that we're going second or something like that. So we are running the one Droll, the one Ghost Ogre, the one Ghost Bell to finish up our playsets here. Then we also have double Ghost Mourner in here. I think it's just a really fun card. A lot of people kind of sleep on it. It's a very fun hand trap. So once again, if I had the Nibiru, I'd probably like sub stuff out. So, which I do have the Nibirus. I just kind of forgot about them. Next up, triple Lancia. Once again, just for more hand traps. And as well, in the event of us going second, we do play triple Alpha the Master Beast to help us pick up our boards. Alpha just being an inherent summon for 3k is insane enough, but then the fact that he can bounce cards and summon again is just nuts. I love Alpha so much. One Twin Twisters, finish off the playset there. And then triple skill drain, since we do have the Heavenly Sky in the main, this becomes even better. Like, just being able to turn off our opponent's monsters effects, well, turning off all monster effects during our turn with the Heavenly Sky Prison is pretty solid to help us finish out games. So that is it for this deck, guys. If you enjoyed this profile, please let me know. If you have any changes you would make, or maybe cards that I didn't think about, let me know down in the comments. I'm down to have tons of discussion with you guys about this. Once again, I've been playing PrankKids for like a couple years now, so I am open to any talk about this deck whatsoever and just what it can do. Once again, if you guys want to see the comment tutorial, that will be in the card at the top right or in the description when it goes up a couple days after this video. So thank you guys for tuning in today. That's all I got for you, lads. And remember, good fun. Have luck.
I was signing on the city lights. All this doubt around me, then but look, I got it right. Don't you try to hit me, now you live a petty life. All those nights I lay awake, I pray for better life. Now I wake up with a baddie like I said I might. This a better life.